What's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video. And the Houston Rockets have received some bad news. And Thompson's going to be out the next 10 to 14 days with an ankle injury. Thompson this season has had a breakout season for the Rockets. In 32 minutes per game, he has averaged 14 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, 4 assists per game, 1 steal and 1 block per game, or more closer to 1.5 blocks and steals per game. It's 1.3 for both his steals and blocks per game this season. So it's more closer to 1.5 than 1. And from three, look, he hasn't been amazing from three this year, but if we're going to be honest, his three-point shot has improved. Now, if you look aside, percentages, last year, his rookie season shot 14% from three. He's shot the three more this season and has doubled his percentage at 26%. But if you want to just go to totals with the men this year, he was a horrendous 8 for 58 in his rookie season. And this season, he's 20 for 78. I'm not at all trying to say 20 for 78 is good, because it's not. But if you look at, how he's improved his shot this year, I do think it's an improved shooting season for Thompson. I think that, he's shooting way better from three than he was shooting last year. And we continue to see him working on his shot, which I think is a big thing, where he can continue to work on his shot and improve that. And I think as he's going to get some time off this offseason, that's going to be probably the biggest thing he needs to work on, the biggest thing I think he will work on. And so if from his rookie year to his sophomore year, he goes from 13% to 26%. I'm excited to see what it goes into his sophomore season from sophomore year to third season. But look, honestly, I'm not really freaking out at all about Thompson being injured. I'm really not. I'm not too worried about it. And the big reason is because of the Rockets' schedule. I mean, if you would have looked at this in previous times where the Rockets' schedule was brutal, I would have been like, this sucks. But I just look at this upcoming schedule, and especially with a 5-game homestand, 5-game homestand coming up, I'm not too worried about this injury at all. I mean, here, let's look at the Rockets' upcoming schedule. The Rockets play tomorrow against the Magic at home. I know there won't be no Edmond, there won't be no Reed Shepherd, but the Rockets should get Fred VanVleet back tomorrow night. He's a game-time decision. I think he will be back tomorrow night. So if you have Fred and you have Jalen, you have Şengün, Jabari, Tari, I'm not worried about the Rockets losing to the Magic. Then Wednesday, it's the Suns. The Suns are playing a little bit better this year. The Rockets have matched up well this year against the Suns. Just, beat them. They beat the Suns when they didn't have Jabari or Fred and Houston. So, I can see the Rockets beating the Suns as well. The Mavericks don't even have a bench right now. Who knows what that kind of matchup is like for the Rockets on Friday. Then Saturday, it's the struggling Bulls. Then Monday, the Rockets play again at home, the 76ers. And then Wednesday, the 19th, is the Magic. And then in Orlando. And then the 21st, to wrap up a 2-game road trip, is Miami. Like, the Rockets in this 7-game span, even without Thompson, I could still see the Rockets going 5-2, maybe 6-1 in these next 7 games. Even if Thompson's not on the floor, assuming Fred VanVleet, I'm saying this assuming Fred VanVleet is back throughout these next 7 games, and you have Fred, Jalen, Jabari, Tari, and Şengün on the floor. It might be, it very well might be a different story for this Rockets team if Fred VanVleet. If Fred VanVleet is not on the court, it might be 4-3 for this Rockets team if Fred VanVleet isn't on the court. But assuming he comes back tomorrow and he stays healthy for these next 7 games, which, might be overstepped. But if that happens, and for instance, the Rockets play the Mavs and the Bulls, and it's a back-to-back Friday, Saturday. So if you don't want Fred to play a back-to-back, he doesn't have to play Friday against the Mavericks since they're shorthanded, and then he plays Saturday against the Bulls, so Fred doesn't have to play a back-to-back. There's no reason why the Rockets should not be successful throughout the next 7 games. and especially the next 7 games that you'd expect Amin Thompson to be out. With the easy schedule and 5 of the next 7 games being at home. But then let's get to Sunday, not next Sunday, but the 23rd, the Rockets play Denver and Houston. That's the game you want Amin Thompson back for. I know they said 10 to 14 days for Amin Thompson. So 10 days from now, you would see him back. Possibly in Orlando, or possibly against Philly in Houston. I think you don't want to push him back in those games. I think the Rockets, if Amin and Reed are the only guys out against the Magic and the 76ers, the Rockets can they can get those wins. The game you don't want to rush him. First of all, you don't want to rush him in back and risk a re-injury, because if he were to come back and then gets injured again, maybe it's a little bit worse. You could see him miss time in the Rockets' potential postseason. But so that's one reason. But also, you give him a little. Even if 10 days he's back, even if after 10 days he's ready to go, let him rest till it's officially 2 weeks since the injury has passed, and then on Sunday night when the Rockets play, Sunday, March 23rd. Against the Nuggets, that is a big game for the standings, especially if the Rockets do well through the next 7 games. You have Amin Thompson back in the lineup, ready to go against the Denver Nuggets. I think that is the best situation for this Rockets team, is to have Amin Thompson return to the lineup 2 weeks from today when they play Denver at home. I think the Rockets, if Fred is back, can easily go at the easiest they can. I think they can go either 6-1 or 5-2 in these next 7 games. The only really hard games I see for the Rockets in the next 7 are the 2 road games in Orlando and Miami. I mean, it's harder to play those teams. It's a little bit harder to play those teams when you got to go and you got to play them in their own home stadium. Those would be the only 2 games I'd be worried about in the next 7 games, and maybe the Suns. I could see the Rockets losing the Suns and then losing one of the games in the Florida trip, and then you go 5-2 through the next 7 games. And the Rockets are now 38-25. I think either 38-25 or 39-25. So their record would look pretty good if they went 5-2 in the next 7 games. Let me know your thoughts on Amin Thompson's injury in the comment section, and peace out.